right. All right. This is Ayanna Smith, and we welcome you to Money Talks with Ayanna Smith, where I'm your host, a licensed financial professional, life insurance broker. And guess what? We have to answer some questions because you probably are wondering, how do I do this? How do I do that? Meaning, how do I bridge the gap if I have to go to the hospital and I don't have enough money to continue on with the care that I need? Or what is long term care? Or what are living benefits? I know you hear me speak about it all the time, but today, whenever you are watching and listening on the replay, I have a very special guest who is going to bring some clarity and some understanding on why we all need to take advantage of this awesome benefit. And we will be right back right after this. Welcome back to Money Talks with Ayanna Smith. And I am so excited to bring our guest from the virtual green room. I refer to her as Shaniqua Inspires, but she is known professionally in the nursing space, the RN space, as Miss Shaniqua Johnson. But let me tell you, she inspires wherever she goes, and she's here as the guest to share some info that is going to really, I think, weave a thread through everything that we have and missing the questions and really hitting the impact of how important it is to get life insurance and have life insurance with living benefits and or long-term care. So without further ado, I want to bring Miss Shaniqua Johnson to the stage. Hello. How are you?
Hey, blessings to you, my dear sister friend. Thank you so much for having me here on Money Talks. I'm like, oh, I get to talk a little about money. I get to do a little about insurance. Like, this is nice right here. So thank you again for just honoring me and allowing me to come and share space with you and your guests on this day.
Absolutely. I say, I love to highlight, special women that are doing it. And when we met, like we've shared before, it was just, something that just was connecting. And I think, like minds and like hearts, where we connected, it was very similar. People were similar about helping, being about their business and going forth in whether it was on the broadcast podcast, professional life, spiritual life. We were all about pushing forward. And I knew that when I found out, you were in the medical professional field, that you knew something about what I do in trying to help people in spreading the message about long-term care and living benefits and how important it is to have those things and not be scared and afraid of life insurance. But like we say, parenthetically insert, it's life insurance because we're talking about our lives while we're breathing and while we're living. So if you could give a little bit of background about yourself, and then we'll jump into our talk for the evening.
Yes, well, again, I am Shaniqua Johnson, also known as Shaniqua Inspires. I have been professionally trained as a registered nurse for the past 21 years. And I know I don't look like it, right? Like I started when I was 12. I get it. I get that often.
Absolutely.
No, seriously though, like I've been in the profession for a very, very long time. And I feel as though I've learned so much being in the healthcare industry, the do's, the don'ts, the why on earth would people do that and why on earth would they not do this. I've just learned so much. And I have actually been able to branch outside of being in a four-wall facility. And I'm also the CEO and owner of A Better You LLC, where I help busy women get their stuff in order. Right? We got to take care of ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. So I help those busy women just reconnect with themselves so that they can continue to lead and love their family and serve without subtracting anything from themselves. So I've been able to take what I've learned over the 21 years as a nurse and bridge it and shape it and mold it into something that I can individually service people outside of being in the industry. And it's been a beautiful gift so far.
That is awesome. And of course, anybody wants to connect with you on that because there are a lot of busy women. I like what you said, able to serve
Hmm.
without subtracting. Goodness
Yes,
gracious, because
yes,
most of the time we subtract to depletion.
yes.
And then
And we
there is
can't do that.
nothing, it's nothing left. It's nothing
Yeah.
left. And we're the hollow shell, and people are still pulling and drawing from us. So
Hmm.
basically, what you're called to do is like you're called to serve and care for people. So you went into it on, I always tell people on the degree side, but that's who you
Hmm.
are, even
Yes.
without the degree. So I'm hearing that as well. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it. So now let's get into when we're talking about, my money talk show, I'm talking about life insurance, I'm talking about
Hmm.
different aspects, but I like to bring in how different people connect with life insurance because sometimes it gets such a bum rap because we only think about most of the time we're dying and we're putting people in the
Hmm.
ground or cremating them, but it's so much life that we can really expand, and that life insurance can be an asset to us in many ways. Of course, building for, I always say building for retirement, or
Hmm.
savings, a supplemental plan for your savings. But we want to talk tonight about how important it is to have uh, life insurance with the living benefits and the long-term care, and how it works with what you do and what you see, because you are your, let's say, a trainer, a teacher
Hmm.
to people that deal with the long-term care space. So give us some information on that and just how that looks, and how it's necessary to have that supplemental to continue the care that's needed to fully recovering from certain illnesses.
Absolutely. So, professionally speaking, I am a corporate trainer, and I currently serve in as a training specialist, and I train care managers, and it's for a long-term care company. So, what we do is that when people have this long-term care insurance, we have care managers who are the ones that are overseeing them. They call them up, usually on a monthly basis, sometimes more, to make certain that they're getting the right care that they need at that moment in time in their lives. It is particularly for those who have either a chronic illness or chronic disease. So it has to have the you have to have the need for long-term care. So
Mhm.
this is different than your say your health insurance. So when you sprain your ankle, or you've got cramps because you ate something bad. Like, it's not for those short term needs. This is the care that kicks in when you have a greater need, a long term care need. So the criteria is usually 120 days of more. So you need either like private duty nursing, you need some, skilled services, having a home care nurse come in and out, physical therapist, occupational therapist. So you need that type of care, but you need it on a long term care basis. So that's the industry that I am currently serving in. And I am the one that trains those care managers to make certain that they are asking the right questions, and they're critically thinking about the needs of this individual who they're speaking to on the phone. I do want to, that's what I currently do right now, but I do want to just revert back, you know, good couple of years. And I want to tell you all a story about this couple that I met when I was in the hospital. I was, like I said, I've been a nurse for 21 years, and I met this older couple. And the woman, I want to say she was like in her mid 70s, beautiful black woman, and she had this long, thick silver hair. So I fell in love with her right away because she reminded me of some of my kinfolk. So I was just drawn to her, and she was a professional woman in her career. So when she was working, I believe she was a social worker professionally, and her husband, who was a very distinguished looking gentleman, older in years as well, silver hair. and he had worked as a police officer. So for many, many years, they had served their communities, her as a social worker, him as a police officer, and they were serving so much that they didn't even have children of their own. They got so busy in their lives and in their careers, and they just loved on their nieces and nephews, and they were comfortable with that. They had grew to purchase homes, so they own their own home. And again, these are professional people, and they're now at their older age. And so when I met them, the woman, she was in the hospital as a patient, and she had now this critical diagnosis.
Hmm.
So she, of course, was retired. He was retired. They were living off of their retirement, and all was well until she got sick. And this wasn't just a sickness like a temporary, a short term sickness. This was a critical condition. And I began to listen as the hospital's caseworker was talking to them about their options, because now she was going to require this long term care. And one of the things that I remember hearing the caseworker say to them, and again, I'm working as the nurse in the hospital. So this is not really my realm, but my ears are in tune because I'm like, they are me. You know, these are professional people, and this is what the outcome looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the hospital caseworker telling her that, or telling them both, that they would have to deplete their savings in order to be eligible for an insurance that was going to cover their long term needs, because now she was already critically ill. And I remember, going over to the caseworker after, we left out of the room, and I was like, wait a second. So you're telling me that me, now I'm talking about me. I'm not even talking about the elderly couple. I'm like, so you're telling me that as a professional, that I can work all of my life, and then God forbid there's a critical incident, there is a long-term care need that I have. I then have to deplete my savings in order to be deemed eligible after I've worked in this profession, I've slaved in this profession, I've given my all as a professional, and then I'm left with absolutely nothing. And that was an eye opener for me early in my nursing career, because I'm like, I don't want their story to ever become my story. So I always looked into what more could I do to try to avoid that being my story. Right now, even though they were far along, and this is what they were dealt with, these were the cards that were being laid out in front of them. So they had to make decisions based off of what was happening in this current time. But I
Mm-hmm.
always said to myself, what could I do to soften the blow? What could I do to be better prepared in these types of instances? So when you see stuff, when you know stuff, you have to be able to now use it to your advantage. And I love being here on this platform because it now gets me to a place where I can share that story, because I've always had that story bottled up inside of me, because it was such a pivotal moment for me in the way I see life insurance. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It was such a pivotal moment for me. And I said, people need to hear that story because it can happen to us.
Yes.
It's not something that happens to the people who are, just they're on a budget, they're low living or anything like that. These were professional people.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like to tell that story whenever I get a chance to, because it brings it home. It's like, yeah, I'm professional. I own my own home. I own my own car. Everything is going okay. I've got money in the bank. I can take trips when I want to. Life looks grand.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when sickness comes in?
Right.
Is the insurance, the health insurance that you so willingly have when you are employed, you have this health insurance, would it be enough? And
Right.
sadly, I saw that, firsthand, that my God, it just may not be enough.
Right. Let me ask you this. With that, when you have a healthcare plan based on certain illnesses or whatever, or based on your plan, I think,
Hmm.
and you correct me, based on your plan, you are given so many days by
Hmm.
the healthcare company to stay,
Yes.
whether it's 7, 10, what have you, and 14 days. And after that, if they deem that these are all of the days that your health care is going to pay for, then what happens, I think, is the story that you're talking about. After that, it's like after it runs
Hmm.
out,
Yep.
then if you don't have the money to pay per day out of pocket or
Hmm.
have that long-term care or living benefits where it is what we call like the doctors has to say that it is a medical incident or
Necessity.
medical
Hmm.
occurrence
Hmm.
so that that can kick in, then you're depleting all of the things
Yeah.
that you've worked and saved and
Hmm.
looked to have a good time and travel the world, and then it's come to a screeching halt. You have to spend down, like you said, deplete
Yep.
in
Yep.
order to get $2.99.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah.
Just
And
enough
like
to
I
give
said,
you the
these are
benefit.
professional people. They
Mm-hmm,
own their own home. So it
mm-hmm.
meant selling their home. Now, mind you, it's a husband and a wife.
Yeah,
So to do all of this for her, to get her the care that she needs, what does that mean for him? Where does he stay? Where does
correct.
he go? They don't have any children. What becomes their story now?
Yep,
And I think that's the missing piece that we don't often look at. We always think that everything's going to be perfect and
yes,
everything's going to be colored within the lines, but it's like, but what if?
right,
What do you do?
right. And oftentimes it's not if, but when. So we
Yeah.
have to be prepared. I mean, I often share this. I say we will get insurance plans so that, God forbid, if our phone drops on the ground and the
Mhm.
screen cracks,
Mhm. Screen crack, right.
we can get another phone. We pay a deductible, what have you, get another phone or get the screen fixed. Or God forbid, if we have to get uh, car insurance in the event of an accident. Now, nobody's
Yep.
riding out in the street looking for an accident, but
Mhm.
in the event that you hit somebody or somebody hits you, we're mandated to have auto insurance. And so oftentimes we're placed so highly on the mandates on what we
Mhm.
should have on things until we don't even think about, after amassing all those things, then here we are with a critical or chronic illness
Yep.
and can't even get, let's say, can't get our screens fixed when
Yeah,
they.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's so true. And if you, as you said, like, it's mandatory. You can't drive your car without the insurance. Like, when you're buying a car, they want to know what insurance you have before you drive that car off the lot. But
Absolutely.
we are allowed to walk around without the proper coverage.
Hmm. Yes. Yep. Lack of protection. That's why I tell people, I
Hmm.
said, we need proper protection. And that
Yes.
can look differently for everybody. However,
Hmm.
it still needs to be looked into by everybody.
Hmm.
Because, it's like, do you want the dogs to get out of the fence or do you want protection that they don't get out of the fence and run away? you know
Exactly.
we have to protect ourselves in that manner too. So with that, now, if that couple had things in place, how
Hmm.
do you think it would have looked differently for them?
It would have been easier. It would have taken the stress off of this elderly gentleman who is concerned about his wife, the woman that he's loved for many, many years. So he has to now shift his concern for her to now shifting it to a financial matter to say, well, how do we pay for this? How do we get in position now? So the lesson learned is, if we prepare ourselves, then if or when that situation becomes prevalent in our lives, then we are already prepared, and it's almost like the I's are already dotted, the T's are already crossed,
Mhm.
and it's just a matter of cashing in. It's just a matter of calling the agent and saying, "Hey, here's the situation at hand." You
Yeah.
don't have to put all of your mental resources trying to figure it out, because you've already created a game plan for the what ifs. Similar to any NFL or NBA game, they have situations already drafted out. It's already mapped out. The team has already studied the plays. So if LeBron hits a three pointer, then the other team says, "Oh, wait, we got to do this,
Mhm.
defensive play. We've got to do this one in order to combat that." So they already know the plays. They just have to go to it, grab it, and put it in action. But when you're already faced with the situation,
Yeah.
now just think of it like if this wasn't a couple. Think of it if it was just a single older woman, right?
Yes.
And now she's the one that was sick.
Mhm.
You think she's going to be able to think about finances and to know who, what, when, where, and why in the
No.
midst of all of that? So it's like undue pressure we put on ourselves
Yeah.
for not being financially, fiscally prepared for any given situation.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. It's like, I was mentioning, like, if you open up a checking account, most of the time at the banks they ask you if you want a savings account as well. It's
Mhm.
like you get a 2 for 1. While you're managing your money from one account, they are preparing you and setting you up to be able to save and to put money aside for that rainy day. We all know about the rainy day fund, right?
Yes.
And we do know it always rains. So why not get in position and get prepared so that way you're covered? And with health insurance is great. Not everybody has it.
Right.
Let's just be honest. Not everybody has it. But if you're fortunate enough to have it, you're paying an arm and a leg for it, and you don't know the fine print.
Right.
And
Right.
don't ever read the fine print. You just know the baseline of it. And you just hope that when you go to your doctor's appointment and you hand them the card, that it works and you don't have a large bill.
Correct.
But there are times when you go and a bill does come up. In fact, my parents are going through some kind of struggle with the insurance company. Again, professional individuals. My mother served as a school teacher all of her life, and she has her own insurance from when she was a school teacher.
Mhm.
My dad works, so he's got insurance for both of them through his job. But if something happens to the insurance on his job, my mother's insurance doesn't just run up and say, "Oh, we'll take care of her." No, it's
Right.
a fight. It's a fight. It's like, "Tag, you're it." They're like, "No, it's not me. No,
Right.
it's not me." So they've got all of these insurances, on deck, and everybody's like, "Nope, it's not me. It's not me." Everybody's looking around. So the health insurance industry is very complicated for the layperson, right? For the
Mhm.
layperson, it can be very complicated. And you just hope that when you go to the doctor, that payment is not going to be declined and a bill is not going to accumulate. But my advice to people is that's just a starter.
Mhm.
That's just the starter. You do need to have something in the background.
Mm.
Now, granted, if you do, have a long-term care condition or a chronic illness or something of that nature, and you're going to need long-term care, then yes, you'll be able to bridge your insurance over to what they call an MLTC, a managed long-term care company.
Mhm.
However, even with the managed long-term care company, they don't pay for everything.
Correct. Correct.
So
You
they
must.
might pay for some things. They may pay for you to have the nurse come out. They may pay for you to have the aide come out to
Mhm.
assist you with your personal care needs. And God forbid you needed to reside in a nursing home.
Mhm.
Once upon a time, they used to pay for a longer period of time, but they just recently changed the regulations where they cut that. So you
See?
get an even smaller window of time that they will pay for you to be in this longer term residence. Now,
Wow.
depending on what state you're in, you may be able to get Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the problem, right? They would call that institutionalized Medicaid. But
Mm.
here's the problem with the professional individuals like myself or
You
like
can't
that
get it.
older couple. They make too much money
That's
for
it.
it.
You can't qualify. I understand that. Don't even qualify because anything with the aid on the end, qu-
Mhm.
immediately bells
Yeah,
and whistles go up in my ear.
yeah.
Well, I make too much for that.
Yep.
So
Count that out. Yep.
cross it
Yeah.
out. And then Medicare, that's another entity of things.
It's
It's
very complicated.
still parts ABC. The people don't
Hmm.
know ABC and D. People don't know how they all function and flow,
Yeah.
and it's not all created the same. It's not all equal. So that's the whole talk by itself.
Yes.
Um, and then if you are a professional person, male, female, and you make X amount of dollars, then this is where it kicks in. It's not an option. It is a necessity if you
Hmm.
qualify and are healthy to have, when you agree, look, Nurse Johnson, that
Hmm.
everybody needs to have long-term care or some type of living benefit, something that's going to bridge that gap. How,
Hmm.
for example, how many people ask the question, do we know who have suffered heart attack, cancer,
Right.
stroke? Those are illnesses that immediately shift your whole life, depending on the
Hmm.
severity of it, and either you can come back from it because medical technologies advancements have happened, but in the middle of coming back you have to rehabilitate. And that's
Yeah.
where this part kicks in on needing the funds to extend your days, when you said the health companies have cut off now the
Hmm.
days of rehabilitation for people, and they're just putting them out to go home
Yeah.
if they don't have the bridge money, that I like to say bridge money. If they don't
Yeah.
have that bridge money to extend the stay, then yeah, it's almost like you paid up so many days to stay in the hotel and now your
Mm.
money has run out,
Yeah.
and that's that. Whether the stitches have healed or not, you have
Yeah,
to go.
you gotta go. You gotta go. And people might think, well, is this something that I need to do right now, right? Because human nature says that we have time. Human
Mm-mm,
nature always tells us that we have time for everything and we can always do it later.
we don't.
But later is going to be when you're getting the diagnoses and you're holding your head in disbelief and you're trying to wrap your mind around the diagnoses and what the latter years are going to look like. Do you want to also take the time to now try to figure out the game plan as to who's going to pay for what? And
Yeah.
you don't really want to do that. So I always say, if you have a family history of chronic health condition, diabetes, hypertension, heart, any type of heart disease, then you want to get prepared
Yes.
now. While you have health in your body, while your hemoglobin A1C is still within normal limits, while your blood pressure is still teeter tottering on the borderline of being well, um,
Hmm.
do it now. Like sit down with the professional and get a clearer picture, and get a little. It's like a safety net
Yes.
for the
Absolutely.
what is. It's a safety net to say, because when I get older, and of course we never want sickness to hit us while we're young. When I get older, if this is going to be the fate, I don't want to have to be unprepared or caught off guard, especially if you have a family history of something. So you're getting almost like a sneak peek to
Hmm.
get yourself prepared and get yourself in order.
Yeah.
So that's the best advice that I could give to people. And if I can be honest, I even knowing what I knew, and even after meeting that beautiful couple in the hospital and seeing their struggles, I still didn't run out and get life insurance. I didn't do it. And if I can be honest, the moment that I did get life insurance, And again, why do we have to wait for something traumatic to
Mhm.
happen to get us to do the right thing? But listen, if that's what we need, that sometimes is what will happen. It wasn't until I was faced with a divorce
Mm. Mhm.
when the salary that I had been grew accustomed to and was banking on having for my latter years, when that bulk, and I like I said, that bulk, like this is how much money he had, when
Yeah.
that walked out the door,
Yeah.
I was now faced, and then I got these two little ones. They're not
Mhm.
little no more, they up here now, but I had these two little ones, and I had to say, wait a second,
Yeah.
if the majority, the greater portion of the household income coming in. Oh, and let me add also, I got my insurance through him. My health insurance was through him. So
Wow.
now, not only did the greater portion of my household income go out the door,
Right.
so did my health insurance. So now I'm a single woman with
Mm.
these two kids, with this limited income. I needed to now put a game plan together because
Yeah.
God forbid if I had gotten sick at that moment, your girl would have been uppercase screwed,
Right. Right.
uppercase, you
Right.
know? So that was my moment of reality, and
Mhm.
I did not hesitate. I had a friend who had, life insurance. I was like, give me the name of your person,
Mhm.
and I had them come over to the house. We sat down, we had a conversation. It was a conversation. they
Yes.
didn't they didn't bring handcuffs, they didn't bring the ropes and chains or anything like that. It was a conversation to
Mhm.
talk about what life insurance could do for me as a single mother, to prepare myself to
Mhm.
get that cushion back
Mhm.
up underneath me, because the divorce left me without my cushion. So
Right.
it was like, how can I cushion my family so that I'm okay, the kids are okay, that we are well taken care of? So that was the very start of it. And I got a starter plan. From that starter plan, I don't even know how I met this other gentleman. And matter of fact, I think he took over. Like, so that person left, somebody else came in place. That
Mhm.
person left, somebody, like, so it was like always the change of guards. And
Yeah.
this one came in with the fresh ideas, and we just clicked more so than I had ever with any other agent. And that's when we started the financial planning aspect, where he started
Mhm.
to look at what I was earning and the what ifs. And so we've got all, and Ayanna could talk a little bit more about it, but there were like these little clauses that he could put in with the insurance. So if I got sick, if I got injured on the job, if something happened, like those what ifs moments,
Mhm.
he was able to bridge it in so that way I would still be covered.
Right, like those accidental, all those things,
Mm-hmm.
right, can be fed in, wrote. That's why we say we have to talk about it to uncover,
Yep.
to see what's going to fit the best. But like you said, you had a whole regrouping to take place. So you said, I need to get something because my cushion was
Mm-hmm.
taken away. And that is the main thing. Don't walk around here without anything. That's my
Yeah.
plea. Sometimes you have to you at the crawl before you walk stage. It's okay. There are things to fit that budget too, but God forbid we don't have anything,
Yeah.
and we talk about what we can't afford, and but
Mm-hmm.
it's still affordable. We can help you with something, because when you have that life turn, it's amazing. Yeah, I hit that life turn too. I didn't have children, but yeah, when you find yourself like, wow, everything is on me now.
Mm-hmm.
I have to
Mm-hmm.
get this thing together for myself. And my pivot point was some years later, I was introduced to this industry and saw that, wow, I can build some stuff for me. And
Mm-hmm.
how important it is to build, yes, together and with your partner, your spouse, but how great is it to build for yourself and stand on your own 2 feet? My mom says this, that after a while, every tub has to sit on its own bottom. I'm like,
Mm,
wow, they do. It's
yeah,
time, or stand on their legs. You have to eventually walk for yourself, and this is a way to strategically get things in order to get yourself covered because we are worth it. And
yes,
scares health scares come upon us. We're not looking for them, but
right,
it's like, woo, I think about every day. I say, okay, if this were to come up, I do have
yeah,
this in place. Thank God. I'm so thankful. I have this in place. I can get somebody to make a call and say, check this out, and
mhm,
look to getting a check issued toward helping me to rehabilitate. I believe, and maybe you can key in. I believe if you have something in place that you can glean from in the event of a medical emergency or a medical, chronic critical illness, terminal illness, I think you can rehabilitate or at least have a better mindset knowing that you don't
mhm.
have to stress about
Oh,
the
absolutely.
money.
Oh, absolutely. Like you're not going to wait until it's a downpour of rain to now start building the roof. No, you put the roof on the house
Hmm.
just in case, right? So, if there's rain, then you're covered. So, yeah, it is a peace of mind and it takes the additional stress off of your plate. So now that you can just focus on getting better. And I'm telling you, if 2020 didn't teach us something, I hope that we learned something from those pivotal years between 2020 and now,
Yes.
because it just showed us how we we don't know as much as we thought we knew,
No,
and we're not as prepared as we thought we were.
no.
So that should have taught us something to get things more intact. And now, not only did we have to deal with COVID turned out to not just be a short-term illness, it actually is a long-term chronic, it is
Yes.
now a chronic disease. They
Yes.
have long COVID now, where you suffer like these, it's almost likened to these alter effects, like from having that short-term, that short-term virus, you now have these chronic
Hmm.
long-term effects. And that's another thing, that if you don't have the right health insurance, with those right clauses and those right, bells and whistles attached to it, you may be missing out on receiving some of the care
Hmm.
that is due to you. So I say pay attention. And I know we got so much stuff going on. We
Yeah.
don't want to really listen to the finite details. We only want what we want. But just in case,
Just in
call
case.
your insurance company, ask them some what ifs.
Hmm.
That's what they're there for. They're there to answer your questions. Get on the phone with a representative and just ask them, well, what if this were to happen? Where would that leave me? And then what are my options? How can I safeguard myself just in case? Like, this is not a problem as of now, but just in case. Do you all cover this? And I kind of already know what they're going to tell you, because chances are they don't cover it.
Hmm.
But that is where you, as the individual, can have a conversation with your financial expert, who can give you some suggestions on how to build your safeguard, how to build a net 101.
Yeah.
Right, it doesn't hurt with a conversation.
Hmm.
But that's how you learn about what your coverage is. You
Hmm.
may want to call and contact some managed long-term care companies,
Mm.
especially if you are faced with some chronic conditions and you find yourself constantly needing care, or you're at a point in your life where you're like, you know what, I'm going to need some assistance,
Mhm.
and much more so than I'm getting already. You need the aid for an extended amount of time. You don't just need, 2 or 3 hours per day. You're looking for something that's a 6 hour, 8 hour window. Well, if that's the case, then your regular insurance is not going to be the magic pill. What you're
Right.
going to need to do is to elevate. You need to evolve, and you need to go into a long term care plan. Again, long-term plan is great for what it's great for, but there still might be some gaps that if you have this supplemental insurance, this
Mhm.
supplemental benefits, you're covered either way.
Yep. Absolutely. You have tied it up in a bowl and said here,
I
here,
tried
here,
my best. I try to dip it in honey and sprinkle it with powdered sugar to try
everything.
to make it more
Yeah,
palatable for people to
yeah,
understand the importance of it. You do not want to be in that situation where you're in your late 70s, you're talking about you want to retire off the coast of Spain with your boo thing, and now they're talking about you have a chronic medical condition.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now all of the plans have changed. And now they're telling you you have to sell the home that you worked hard for. You
yeah,
have to deplete your savings account that you worked hard for.
yeah, yeah. That's
Who
that's
wants
a
to believe their story?
that's a major, 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 major sad situation.
Mhm.
Majorly sad. It's
But
disheartening.
we can prepare. We can
You can.
prepare so that tragedy of one couple doesn't have to be the repeated thing for everybody.
Correct. Correct. And it's just about sitting down. And that's why I said I wanted to thank you so much for coming in to talk, because I wanted to really drive this home that I'm not talking just to talk. It hits our professional, my niches are professional women, the
Mhm.
professional person. I can speak from there because that's the vein that I come out of professionally or degree wise. I can help. I'm not being classes or anything, but I know that we make the money, but then it's like, okay, in between making the money, now we got to create that safety net so that we can enjoy the money.
Exactly. Exactly. What's the sense of having the money if
Yeah.
you if it's not protected? It's like a robber can come and take it at whim. You know,
Yes.
you want to safeguard it.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah. Don't want your health
I love
being
it.
taken by the robbers either. So it's like,
Exactly.
okay, so let's get this together. Well, I surely appreciate you stopping by on Money Talks with Ayanna Smith, because, I always say money is always talking, even if we aren't talking about it.
Mm,
And that is a true in many facets, because our health is always talking if we aren't talking about it. Our mindset,
indeed.
our money, look where we're going to live. Things are talking, even if we aren't
Yes.
talking about it, because life is still moving. I basically that mantra came to me because life is still moving. Even though we're sitting still, cars are still going up and down the highway, whether we're on them or
Yes.
not, or in them or not. And life still moves, and we must be prepared, and we must do better about protecting ourselves. And we must believe, after being educated, that we are worth being protected, because we are.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, because
Yes.
we are. So thank you for stopping by.
Thank
You'll
you.
say flying all in through the green to the virtual green room from Kalamazoo, New York, Florida, wherever. I'm just so glad that you were able to stop by and be one of the great sisters that shares so much and has so much knowledge and wealth to give. You have really, really shared some nuggets. So as we close, how can people get in contact with you? And meaning, even on your platform that you do on YouTube and all that. So share how people can contact you and connect with you.
Absolutely. So I am Shaniqua Inspires on most social media platforms. So on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and even on YouTube, I am Shaniqua Inspires. And that is what I strive to do. I strive to bring forth that inspiration, motivation, encouragement for people to live better lives. So it's not about like you're in this desolate space, but it's about how do we stay well? How do we stay better? And how do we keep motivated to learn new things and to try new things and just to continuously challenge ourselves? So I am on YouTube. I've got my podcast on there. Sisterly Sundays, and also the Black Girl Encourage Her is a series that I have been working on, and I've been spinning that up to the Black Girl Motivate Her and the Black Girl Inspire Her, because I am really adamant about making certain that we get this inspiration on all of the platforms, all of the airwaves, so that way we can stay encouraged to do the things that we are called to do here on this earth. So anyone can reach out to me on those social media platforms, or you can go to my website, shaniquajohnsonrn.com, and we can connect either way just to see how I can help you to stay inspired, encouraged, or motivated to continue the path that you're going in your life.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you. And please know that we will have to have you back again
Yes.
to come by to inspire and educate and empower. So we appreciate you. So as we wrap up, we will say best wishes to you, and we look to connect with you on the web. All right. Boys, let's say boys, girls, men, women, all of you, everybody who's watching and listening, because we have such a vast audience. We have had Shaniqua Johnson, RN, on with us tonight. And I mean, she really, really, really gave us an awesome, awesome time and nuggets to help us to move forward. So we don't want to just hear it, we want to do. And please connect with me with that. Connect with me so we can talk further about how we can get your plan in place and how you can get your long-term care and your living benefits in place. And if you know someone who needs that, let's sit down and have a talk, because if we don't talk, then we can't get anything out. So without further ado, we're going to bid you adieu with Money Talks with Ayanna Smith. I'm your host, your financial professional, and we say long-term care and living benefits specialist here for this evening. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.